Thank you, members. I'd like to remind everyone this meeting is now being streamed on YouTube, and the recording will be uploaded after the meeting. I presume everyone consents to this. If you don't, you may leave the meeting. The gallery is not filmed. There may be members attending virtually. They will be able to speak on any item, but may not vote. So item number 1, apologies for absence and attendance. I have received apologies for absence from councillors Alexander, Jasbir Anand, Harley, Jassel, Sidhu, and the other person is now here, so I can take that person off. Councillor Manro and Taylor are joining us remotely. Any other apologies for absence? Councillor Boostall?
No, just apologies for lateness for Councillor Steed.
Thank you. No indications. So do we have any, item number 2, declarations of interest? Do we have any declarations of interest? None indicated. Item number 3, minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of December 2026. Are the minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of December agreed as a record of proceedings? That is agreed by the council. And then we go on to item number 4, mayor's announcements. So obviously we are going to be going on to other items. I just sort of to outline, I've had a very busy calendar and things that were very special to me, but I'd like to thank Councillor Kumar in particular for her introducing lots and lots of people who've been very generous with their money. So if it wasn't for Councillor Kumar, I think there'd be less than 11 people introduced me. The people who Councillor Kumar has introduced the council have made donations up to £11,375. Yeah, so yeah. A special mention to Mr. Gary Mezazumian, who's been very generous, and we've also had donations from internal team. Highways team have donated in excess of £1,000. So think about that when we're emailing them about issues. Be kind. So yes, but lots of busy things. One of the special events for me was to go to the installation of the Archbishop of Westminster. So it was mayors from the Diocese of Westminster, and the fundraisers have been, I think they've been very good, and thank you. We've got one more coming up, at least. It's the Faces of Ealing at the Questors Theatre. So I'd encourage you to book a ticket, and I'd be very happy to see you there. And hopefully there'll be other occasions as well. So again, thank you very much to everyone. And if anyone has donated and I haven't thanked you, please come and let me know, because it's quite hard to keep track of all the kind donations. Okay, so obviously we are sort of unprecedented, I guess, to lose members of the council in such circumstances. So we are going to move to the death of our fellow councillor, Dr. Aisha Raza. I understand that Dee Martin would like to say a few words. Thank you, Dee.
Thank you, Mayor. It's with incredible sadness that I rise to pay tribute to such a dear friend and colleague as Councillor Dr. Aisha Raza. Firstly, I want to express my profound condolences to all of Aisha's councillor and council colleagues, her many friends, and most of all her family, who she deeply loved and who I know are heartbroken by her loss. We first met around 2010 when I was just becoming active in the Labour Party, and Aisha was already using her boundless energy to revitalise her local branch in Pittshanger, in forming the Ealing Women's Labour Group, and in supporting the Ealing Save Our NHS campaign. Her passion and determination to promote and support countless causes and organisations never wavered over the intervening years. I suspect that her legacy will live on most amongst the many people she personally inspired, and within the many groups she became an integral part of. There are too many to name, but some of her particular favourites included the Ealing Wildlife Group, the Young Ealing Foundation, the NHS campaign, and the Holy Cross Players, whose panto she took great pleasure performing in each year. We became councillors together in 2014, and Aisha immediately flourished as a ward councillor for Central Greenford, carrying out her role with untiring dedication. She joined in with so many things that she quickly became embedded there. As well as becoming a regular visitor to the Royal British Legion, an advocate of the local Scouts, and of course bringing the Beavers back to Ealing. She was also a governor at Stanhope and William Perkins schools, the latter named after the man who invented her favourite colour, purple. She was forever promoting Greenford, and I will fondly remember the cry of "That's a Greenford goal" whenever Greenford raised Bukayo Saka scored for England. She always went the extra mile, sometimes quite literally, taking part in the NHS Jarrow to London March in 2014, and in making regular trips to the refugee camps in Calais. In 2021, Aisha became Cabinet Member for Tackling Crime and Inequalities, becoming Ealing's first Muslim woman Cabinet Member. It was a role to which she brought many innate abilities and her deeply felt lifelong commitment to inclusivity and social justice. She was also committed to supporting people of all faiths and of none, and of celebrating unity and respecting our differences. I think we all know that Aisha was a people person. She also had a great ability to inspire and to transfer some of her own enthusiasm, generosity, and hopeful spirit to others. If there was a way to help others, she found it. If there was a way to give voice to others, she found that too. For me, I will remember her most for a great sense of humour, a boundless capacity for friendship, and her deep care for others. She enriched so many people's lives. I would like to end by saying how deeply grateful and privileged I feel to have had Aisha as a friend. It was a truly special gift to have known her, and like so many people whose lives she touched, I will treasure her memory forevermore. Thank you.
Councillor Wesson, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to talk to you about our friend, Councillor Dr. Aisha Raza. Aisha was remarkable, a brain scientist with a PhD who combined intellectual rigour with warmth and approachability. I first met Aisha when we served together as governors at Stanhope Primary School. She was already an experienced councillor, and I immediately admired her ability to bring people together and her deep commitment to the community. But what moved me most about Aisha was her generosity. She didn't just serve, she encouraged others to serve too. She encouraged me to stand as a councillor and supported me every step of the way. Her instinct was always to lift others up. Before I moved to West London, I saw her marching through Northampton with the Jarrow campaigners to save our NHS. Aisha didn't just talk about justice, she walked for it, and later played a leading role in the Save Ealing Hospital campaign, working tirelessly with residents and colleagues to defend local healthcare. Community was not just a slogan for Aisha, it was a daily practice. She never wasted a day, often visiting several community groups in one afternoon, listening and amplifying unheard voices. She gave her time generously across Ealing as a governor, volunteer and champion for young people and local organisations, because fundamentally she believed that people matter. Her appointment as Ealing's first Muslim woman cabinet member was historic, but she carried it with humility, using her platform to challenge inequality and widen opportunity. On the campaign trail, she was unstoppable. Lift selfies, campaign leaflets in hand, laughter carrying us through long days. Politics for Aisha was always about people. Outside public life, a deep friendship grew between Aisha, Dee Martin and me. We shared quizzes, National Trust visits, gardening conversations, and simple pizza nights with people like Hitesh, full of laughter and easy companionship. At garden centres, where others saw struggling plants, Aisha saw possibility and usually brought them back to life. She loved her micro-allotment and small acts of kindness, like the stollen she brought for my family each year from Horsingdon Hill. I also had the privilege of being her counsellor in Pitshanger Ward, something she proudly told people, even as I occasionally received complaints about gridlock outside her own home. Her sudden passing after a brainstem event feels profoundly unfair. There was so much more she planned to do. But if we measure life by impact rather than years, Aisha's life was abundant. Today we hold close her beloved Mama Raza, Ardil and Syra. Thank you for sharing Aisha with us. I will miss Aisha every day, but I will carry forward her example. Never waste a day, show up for others, nurture what matters, and always believe in growth. Rest in peace, Aisha. Your friendship was a gift. Your service was a legacy, and you will be remembered.
Thank you, Councillor Weston. Councillor Malcolm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The news of Councillor Dr. Aisha Raza was truly shocking when we all found out the news. She was a warm and friendly person. She was passionate about the campaign, some of which have been mentioned earlier, about the NHS, about the flora and fauna that she looked to expand in the borough, and the equality issues that she fought for. She spoke to everyone, a huge range of community groups and people from all political backgrounds. Her constituents will certainly miss her, and I read many comments about her that they miss her so much already. She was taken away too early, but did deliver a lot of impact, as mentioned just recently. So the Lib Dem group send her condolences to the Labour group and to her friends and family. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Malcolm. Councillor Gallants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of all of us in our group and in the whole room, I can only mirror the condolences expressed by Dee and Ben and by Gary, and our heartfelt wishes to Aisha's family in their time of great grief. By the time I got elected in 2021, Aisha had already been a councillor in Greenford for 7 or 8 years. So she was a real example to me in how to deal with all communities, all people, and strangely with other parties, because I had a completely different conception of things in my own mind, but she showed me so much. I mean, I saw her reaching out to communities everywhere, and I worked with her on the board of the Southwest Middlesex Crematorium, and if you've ever been there, it's a strangely peaceful and wonderful place. And she took that job very, very seriously. And I've got an abiding image of her showing me a nest of kestrels that had taken up residence in that quiet little enclave in West London, Southwest London. We often hear how life is so precious and life is so fragile. It's true, and I don't think anyone knew that better than Aisha. And that's why Aisha brought such value and such respect and such love wherever she went. I shall never forget her example, and I shall never forget her. Thank you.
Thank you. Few words from Councillor Ranjit Deer on the death of Councillor Patak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to say a few words by way of a tribute to past Mayor, late Councillor Patak. But before I do so, Mr. Mayor, can I welcome members of his family and Mr. Vinder Sharma, former MP, who is a relative of the family, meeting in sad circumstances, but welcome to his daughter, his son, and his granddaughters. Mr. Mayor, past Mayor Rabinder Pathak was somebody who I call a pioneer of the diaspora community in the 60s of the last century. And he came to the UK in 1965, soon after the Windrush generation. And as you would know, life in those days was very hard, really hard. And it was people like Councillor Pathak who really set about establishing the social, cultural, and political infrastructure of the minority communities. He was a pioneer because he was the second Asian councillor on Ealing Council. The first one was Councillor Surdul Singh Gill. He was also the first Asian mayor of Ealing Borough. He was also the first Asian chief whip of the Labour group in those years. And I think his work in the community and his work in education really marked him out as a great leader of the community. He was a teacher by profession, and in India he had earned a first-class honors degree in mathematics. So personally, relatively, he had not a great deal of difficulty in becoming a teacher of mathematics in this country. And he taught for a very long time in Hounslow. But alongside his teaching career, he also contributed as a long-serving governor of several schools in the borough, particularly Featherstone. He was chair of Featherstone School governing body for 4 full decades, 40 years. And I think he was awarded the honor of MBE by the Queen for his service to education and to charity. He was a man of deep faith, Mr. Mayor, a very humble man, a scholar of ancient Hindu scriptures, and he felt that at that time there was no Hindu temple in West London area. And with a group of friends, he set up the Shri Ram Mandir, which is now and was then opened in King Street in Southall. And he really worked day and night to expand the temple, to make it financially viable, and really fulfill the spiritual needs of a large number of Hindu community in West London area. And I think for all these achievements, Mr. Mayor, its great achievement was to build the foundations of diversity in this country and in this borough. Diversity that we see now in Ealing Council, which represents and reflects the community outside. You can see it for yourself. But it was the work of people like past Mayor Pathak, who joined mainstream institutions, schools, councils, and elsewhere to build those foundations. And a lot of us are continuing with that tradition. And for all the contribution made to the community and to the mainstream politics, and I emphasize the mainstream politics, he was a great admirer of British values. He was a great supporter of integration in this community, but he was also a great fighter on the anti-racist front. And he struggled and demonstrated, and for all those achievements, we remember him today. And I want to extend my condolences to the family of late Councillor Raza and past Mayor Councillor Pathak. And I pray to God that they rest in peace in heaven. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Long, would you wish to share a few words, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, if I was asked to describe Robin Pathak in one word, it would be as a gentleman. He was always courteous, he was always polite, and he was quietly spoken, but for all that, he was very effective as a councillor. He served his community for many years, but beyond that, he was also very much respected on all sides of the chamber. I was very sorry to learn of his passing, and our thoughts must remain with his family in their loss. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So I'd like to ask everyone to stand if they can, for a minute silence and reflection. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you from members of the family and friends of late councillor for joining us this evening. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Item number 5, questions from the member of the public. James Edwards wishes to ask a question of Councillor Driscoll. Mr. Edwards, join us online.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
One moment. Thank you. Yeah, please ask your question, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. What will the council do to keep children and pedestrians safe in the hazard that is Mason's Green Lane with cyclists that are not mindful? Present measures are not working to slow cyclists down near the Holy Family School entrance and where cyclists cross the pavement onto Vale Lane.
Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your question, Mr. Edwards. So we are aware that residents, teachers and parents have raised concerns about cyclists on Mason Green Lane. This is despite the introduction of measures along this shared path intended to promote both pedestrian safety and considerate cycling to reduce conflict and risk between both users. In response to earlier concerns, the council arranged for the widening near the two entrances on Mason Green Lane. Due to the location of trees, it was not possible to widen the path exactly opposite the northern school gate. Recommendations have also been made to the head teacher to consider options which could also assist in reducing conflict and improve safety on the path. Where Mason Green Lane meets Vale Lane, there are already 4 staggered bollards, plus fencing and street furniture, which encourage cyclists to proceed with caution. There is a dropped residential curb immediately next to the Mason Green Lane, which does restrict some options. Other measures could include putting up signage for cyclists to give way to pedestrian non-standard signs, as have been done in other similar locations in the borough. These actions have been shared with Worth councillors, who I hope have passed on these steps that have been taken. Further, we are therefore closely reviewing the location. We'll give consideration to any further measures that may be necessary. As part of this, officers are open to meeting with relevant stakeholders to explore solutions. Mason's Green Lane is part covered by OPDC as well. There is planned work to do with the cycle route that is through that area, but we reiterate our intention is to explore whether whatever can be done to improve safety and improve the journey along this route for both parties. Thank you.
Mr. Edwards, do you have a follow-up supplementary question?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that answers my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you kindly. And move on to the second question, which was published. It has been withdrawn. So we will move on to the third question. Mr. Gleeson wishes to ask a question. If you'd like to approach the table, sir. Yeah, just take a moment, and I'll invite you. Mr. Gleeson is going to ask a question of Councillor Donnelly, Cabinet Member for Inclusive Economy. Please, Mr. Gleeson, go ahead.
Just firstly, express my condolences to your colleagues for your loss and the families of deceased. My question is, can Ealing Council confirm the details of the London Civ Investment Fund proposal for ethical and responsible investments, including the pillars of those, and if in relation to specific exclusions, the United Nations Office for the High Commission of Human Rights database of companies complicit in the exploitation of the occupied Palestine territories, including Gaza, is referenced as an exclusion? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you, Mr. Gleeson, both for the question and for your kind good wishes. At this time, I'm unable to confirm the details of the London Common Investment Vehicle responsible investment approach or any specific exclusions, because the London Civ continues to develop its proposals for responsible investment decisions alongside its partner funds. Due to the requirements to deliver the consolidation of funds as part of the government's Fit for the Future initiative, the Civ's approach will need to balance the responsible investment strategies of the 32 funds held by 33 boroughs by providing structured choices over the extent to which responsible investment decisions are included within investment portfolios and will reflect differing levels of exclusions. Investment and responsible investment decisions will continue to be made by administering authorities and their pension committees, and the Council will continue to consider its responsible investment strategies alongside its fiduciary duty to pension fund members in line with local government pension scheme regulations.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly. Mr. Gleeson, would you have a supplementary question?
I do, thank you.
Go ahead.
So I'd like to ask Councillor Donnelly if you are aware or the Council have been consulted on the proposals being circulated by the LCIV. They've been circulated in other councils, and I would be surprised if this council is completely unaware of it. But if you can confirm you're not aware of it, can you then confirm you will make inquiries immediately to find out what the details are?
As I said, Mr. Gleeson, proposals are under consideration and discussion, and we're not at this point in a position to make those public.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. Thank you, Mr. Gleeson. Item number 6, questions from member of the council. I've received an urgent question. I think it's Councillor Oxley to Councillor Blacker. Councillor Oxley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Log Cabin charity in Northfields has been providing specialist care to vulnerable children for decades, in particular offering after-school, weekend and holiday short breaks for children with SEND, many of whom are on EHCPs. Council officers gave just 1 month's notice to the charity via a Teams meeting at 2 p.m. on Friday the 27th of February, ceasing referrals to the Log Cabins After School Club. Given the severe impact on parents and distress to children, and given the charity considers the precipitous loss of council revenue threatens its viability, necessitating redundancies of many of its 50 specialist staff, will the portfolio holder immediately withdraw the notice and launch a full and open consultation process with parents, the Log Cabin charity and other interested parties?
Councillor Blacker.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks, Councillor Oxley, for bringing this to our attention. As I think Councillor Oxley understands, this was an operational decision taken on Friday. The first that I think the administration was therefore aware was this afternoon when we found out about his question, so thank you for it. So to clarify, this was not a decision that this administration took, and I can confirm that the notice to Log Cabin has already been withdrawn, and they have been informed of that, and families, I hope, will be informed very shortly as appropriate. Obviously, very much understand the concern this will have caused, and very happy to meet with Log Cabin or any families affected to discuss further if they wish.
Councillor Oxley, would you like to follow up, sir?
Yes, I would. First of all, thank you for that answer. And obviously the U-turn and the withdrawal is incredibly welcome. But I have to ask why that could happen. And particularly given that the Log Cabin were told on Friday that the council had been considering this change of funding for 18 months. Why has it taken this long for the portfolio holder to get a grip of this issue?
I think it took about 2 hours, Councillor Oxley, from learning of your question, getting my briefing and a decision being taken. Councillor Oxley may never understand this because I don't know if he ever was in Cabinet, but I suspect he may not get into Cabinet in the near future. But we don't tend to get involved in operational matters. We set policy at a strategic level and do not get involved in officer discussions at that kind of level. But obviously, given the impact on Log Cabin, a decision was taken this afternoon in consultation with the leader and others. And that, I think, is the end of the matter.
Thank you, Councillor Blacker. We move on to further questions from members of the Cabinet. Sorry, not members of the Cabinet. Councillor Kumar, you have a question?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Does the portfolio holder agree with the decision taken by the Mayor of London to close Acton Police Station overnight, thereby removing the last 24-hour police counter in the London Borough feeling?
Councillor Mason.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And in the absence of Councillor Land, I shall take the question. First, Mr. Mayor, I think we need to be incredibly careful with our language. Acton Police Station is not closing overnight. It is regrettable that it is having to reduce its 24/7 counter opening times to 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekdays and from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on weekends. But I think, Mr. Mayor, we need to be absolutely clear in our minds when we speak to the issues of policing in our borough, so as not either to mislead the public or to unduly alarm them as to the policing of our borough. Acton Police Station remains open. It is our borough's custody suite, as of course is Southall Police Station, which is the home to the Metropolitan Police's response team. But Mr. Mayor, I do have to say, I do find it slightly concerning that the Conservatives have now suddenly decided that they are against the closure of police stations or indeed cuts to the Metropolitan Police, because it was under their government that they removed £1.1 billion worth of funding to the Metropolitan Police, and it was under a Conservative mayor that closed 80 police stations, 50% of the entirety of the Metropolitan Police's estate at that time. I think, Mr. Mayor, what we have seen from a Labour government in the last 18 months is a 120% increase in the funding to the Mayor of London following the Fairer Funding Review that sees money finally flow back to the communities most in need. And I would invite the opposition to think very carefully about scaremongering in this borough in relation to police antisocial behaviour and crime. The statistics consistently show that crime is down in Ealing, and that is thanks to a Labour mayor who is prioritising ensuring that we have uniformed police officers on our streets, ensuring visible and public accountability for the policing of our city.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Do you have a follow-up question, Councillor Kumar?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Please describe any risk assessments undertaken which showed that resident safety and the availability of immediate support without the need for telecommunication would not be compromised by the closure of the overnight counter at Acton.
Councillor Mason.
Mr. Mayor, I do appreciate that Councillor Kumar has now been a councillor, I believe, longer than I have been a councillor. And I think therefore she will know that issues relating to the administration and the leadership of the Metropolitan Police are not within the sphere of influence of the London Borough of Ealing. Therefore, it would not be the London Borough of Ealing's purview to take a risk assessment on a decision that is not our decision to take. Councillor Kumar, I'm sure, can speak with the London Assembly member. He's a member of our council too, if she wishes to seek that information from the Greater London Authority, or of course she can refer that matter directly to the Mayor of London themselves. The council has a very strong partnership with the Metropolitan Police, both through our Safer Neighbourhoods boards and indeed the direct relationship that we have with our borough commander on operational matters. We as a council continue to put pressure on the Metropolitan Police to police us appropriately. Not least, we have won victories in bringing a town team to Ealing Broadway that's ensured that the Metropolitan Town Centre that is at the heart of our borough has appropriate policing in the way that it unfortunately did not. And it's because of the pressure of this council that has led to the retention of Ealing Police Station, first earmarked for closure by the last Conservative mayor. We will continue to play our role in ensuring that we keep our borough safe. And of course, we're going to discuss a little bit more about that as we get into the budget motion this evening. But again, I would implore the Conservatives, please don't come late to the party when it comes to keeping our borough safe, because unfortunately the residents of Ealing will see it for what it is, which I'm afraid is last-minute crocodile tears of a party that is facing electoral oblivion.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Councillor Kingston, question.
What action is the council taking to improve access to recycling facilities?
Councillor Driscoll, you care to respond?
Thank you, Councillor Kingston. I think it's worth stating the position Ealing Council is with regards to recycling in general. Our recycling rate is 49.24%, just a whisker away from our ambitious 50%, which is the envy of boroughs across London. We will be starting our first community skips, or mega skips, as some like to call them, with the first event taking place in Southall later this month. This has been a long time in preparation, requiring liaison and support across council services, GEL, West London Waste Authority, to trial a new innovative approach and also to continue to address the need to maximise recycling and support our wider recycle and circular economy ambitions. Further pilots will be delivered across the borough. These pilots will inform our ambitious delivery of further events and enhance our recycling record. Our community, our mega skips will not be an accelerator for the old, outdated, linear approach to consumption, find, exploit, use and dispose. This venture will demonstrate our ambitious aims to try new and bold and adventurous new ventures. So, looking ahead to tonight's budget, we will see several proposals. The Labour Group will be proposing to reduce the cost of garden waste, enhancing our recycling of green waste, reducing the cost of bulky collection of items to allow residents to dispose of items properly. These items are sorted for recycling and further use where possible. These new ventures improve and underpin our already comprehensive offer across the borough to households, flats, and businesses, where we have provision for food recycling extensively and still working across the borough to provide this. Residents can also book free collections of textiles, small electronic items in partnership with trade to access a number of other recycling facilities, including recycling sites and textile banks across the borough, or book a visit to the HRRC at Greenford. Many of us will be probably unaware that in the 5 months preceding January included, we actually had a recycling rate of over 70% at Greenford. Greenford is not where you just throw away and it disappears. Greenford is where we also undertake a vast amount of recycling. We add to this All of those things that I've mentioned, plus the opening of the Library of Things to support our residents, pupils' profit refill shops in 7 schools, school uniform clothing swaps that have supported 265 families, and we also have Reacton establishing and developing in Acton as well. Thank you.
One moment, please. Do we have a supplementary question? Councillor Gordon, is that correct? Councillor Kingston, will you switch your mic off, please?
Can the portfolio holder give an update to the Reacton site?
Thank you, Councillor Gordon. This week is London Repair Week. So updating on the expanding role of Reacton, the borough's dedicated circular economy site is crucial to our ambition and is very prescient at this time. A collaboration agreement between Ealing Council, West London Waste Authority and Sewers will enable the site to build upon the many successful events that have occurred over the past year. Reacton will support repair and reuse prior to ultimate recycling through learning new skills and reusing previously loved items. Reacton is a bold step to support the need for a circular economy hub in West London. We are ahead of our West London Borough partners operating at this scale. Recognition of this initiative has attracted substantial financial support from West London Waste Authority. Collecting items for recycling alone is not sufficient to meet our wider ambitions and pressing needs to ensure manufactured items are no longer solely on the linear route of consumption, use and dispose. The use of items needs to consider the extended use, repair and reuse before recycling. Reacton has hosted multiple successful repair and reuse events over the past year, the most recent in January for textile repairs, and we have others planned for electrical items, developing skills and supporting our wider role. The next event will be at Reacton site on Stirling Road on Saturday the 7th of March. As part of London Repair Week, it will be a shame for the ambitions of Reacton are lost by the proposals of the opposition to close the circular economy site. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Driscoll. We want to start the budget debate, budget strategy debate by 8 o'clock. So just bear that in mind when we're asking and responding to questions. With that in mind, Councillor Zizamos.
Given the commitment made to our Warren Farm Nature Reserve, will the portfolio tell us if an application has been made to Natural England, and if not, when will it do so?
Councillor Hashani, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We made a commitment to the Warren Farm Nature Reserve, and we will deliver on that commitment within this administration. We continue to work with local stakeholders, including the Brent River Park, whose expertise have been invaluable during this process. It's always been our long-term vision to transform the former sports ground, which has been unused for some time, into a designated nature reserve through managed rewilding. The site already provides important habitat for skylarks and supports a wide range of wildflowers, butterflies and bees, and the proposed reserve will cover all of Warren Farm, or 24.8 hectares, with additional space allocated for new sports pitches alongside the nature area to ensure the site supports both biodiversity and local recreation, in particular community sports. Thank you.
Does the member have a supplementary question?
Yes. Thank you for the clarification. I was a bit worried because I saw a typo again around Ealing where it was down to 20 hectares, so I was a bit worried. But it's good to hear that it's the whole site. We're all very happy, and all the petition, 26,000 people that signed a petition, we're very happy as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wall. Sorry, Councillor Kashani, I didn't hear a question there, so you can stay seated. Thank you. I'm not going to invite you. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Wall. Sorry, Councillor Wall, would you put your mic on and start again, sir?
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
What it was.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll start again. Right. Could the portfolio holder update us on what actions the council is taking to tackle crime and antisocial behaviour?
Councillor Mason.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very pleased to confirm that in line with the Labour Party's manifesto of the last election, not only have Ealing Labour invested 13 million to tackle antisocial behaviour, but also our community safety teams are working in really close partnership with police, using a range of proactive civil and criminal enforcement powers alongside our proactive uniformed antisocial behaviour patrols. That's more than 4,000 patrols delivered in the last year alone. And we've scaled up our work to ensure that we're tackling antisocial behaviour related, of course, to HMOs. And we've one of London's most advanced CCTV networks with trained operators proactively monitoring our 700 cameras across the borough 24/7. And we've also brought in, of course, the funding from the Mayor's Office for Police and Crime and from the London's Violence Reduction Unit, delivering projects particularly around the most vulnerable and detached youth outreach work in the community, which we've seen a 21% decrease in crimes like robberies, and knife crime amongst young people is down by 17%. We'll also be investing in our uniform patrol services as we move forward to deliver increased visibility across all of our 7 towns. And that presence is going to provide reassurance to residents, whilst also gathering vital and valuable intelligence to support the police and council action. So together, all of these efforts will help keep our most vulnerable communities safe and secure.
Councillor Ahmed, I believe you have a supplementary question.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. What further measures is the administration proposing to help keep residents safe?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to Councillor Ahmed. Of course, if the council votes for the budget this evening, our proposals on crime and antisocial behaviour are going to do an awful lot. Firstly, we're going to be introducing a new uniformed street enforcement team to work as an active and visible deterrent to crime and antisocial behaviour. We're going to be increasing our CCTV camera network with an additional 50 redeployable cameras that can target known crime and fly tipping hotspots. We're going to be investing another £200,000 on lighting improvements to lampposts across the borough, brightening areas that residents have identified as areas of concern. We're going to be reintroducing a new year-round tow service to remove abandoned vehicles and cars parked on our pavements. We're going to be cracking down on blue badge fraud following the major improvements that we've made to the blue badge service that we announced last month. And we'll be expanding our Alley-Gate scheme to an additional 50 locations. And of course, as we continue, we're going to be stepping up our enforcement against illegal HMOs, following on from, of course, the record multi-million-pound fines and prosecutions secured against criminal landlords in recent months. Mr. Mayor, we will get on to the budget, but that is a record of delivery. It demonstrates that we are on residents' side.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Councillor Oxley, you have a question?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council implementation of a CPZ in Perryvale Lane, Monday to Friday, 8 AM to 6 PM, threatens the survival of St Mary's Perryvale Arts Centre, one of Ealing's cultural gems, offering weekly concerts by some of the most talented young musicians in the UK. Given that the venue is not easily accessible and that many of the concert goers are elderly and need a car to get there, will the portfolio holder consider restricting the controlled period to the morning only?
Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Councillor Oxley. So, for those who are not aware in this chamber, the CPZ proposal in Perryvale Lane followed the standard process for consulting on the potential for a new CPZ. The first and initial publication was detailed and delivered to all addresses in the wider Perryvale area. The consultation showed a clear request for a CPZ in the Perryvale Lane area, which formed the basis for the second stage, more detailed proposal. The proposal in the consultation was a starting point, which was responding to the requests of residents. And I would add, that's long-standing requests as well. I do believe it is right to have a starting point which is informed by the feedback received from residents in the proposed area. As part of my due diligence, I confirmed with officers that St Mary's was informed of both the first and second stage consultations. St Mary's was included in all distribution lists for all publicity material. The vast majority of residents in the proposed area were strongly supportive of the proposed scheme. Comments were also received from many who lived outside the area. Trustees of St Mary's were also met with highways officers to give their comments. Following the comments received whilst carrying out the statutory consultation for the proposed Perivale Lane CPZ, the following approach is proposed. The CPZ will proceed as proposed west of Old Church Road, that's St Mary's Gate. The proposed CPZ scheme east of the eastern curb line of Old Church Lane east of the church gate will not proceed, meaning that the existing single and double yellow line restrictions in that section will remain unchanged. This option is considered to be the most balanced response to the issues raised during the consultation. It enables us to address the parking concerns of residents while preserving the parking facilities historically used by St Mary's Church on concert days. By withdrawing the proposal for the eastern portion of Perivale Lane, we are able to maintain the flexibility in the area where concerns about the impact on the church visitors or the arts centre visitors was most significant, while still introducing parking controls for residents of Perivale Lane and Old Church Lane in the areas closest to their homes. Overall, we believe this represents a reasonable compromise, balancing the needs of residents and the operational needs of St Mary's Church. I'm sure Councillor Oxley will be interested to know the response from the organisers at St Mary's, who have described the proposal as absolutely delighted. We are happy for you to proceed as suggested. To thank you and your colleagues for being so flexible and considerate and for listening to our very real concerns. You all deserve considerable credit for this decision. Yeah. Finally, the council will continue to monitor the area for changes in parking pressure. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, do you have a supplementary question?
No, I'd just like to thank Councillor Driscoll for listening to the representations.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Oxley. Councillor Tighe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can the portfolio holder explain what the council is doing to improve the experience of holders of blue badges across the borough? Thank you.
Councillor Driscoll again.
This one. So, thank you, councillors. Thank you for that. So we've got long-standing problems with crime and blue badges, and as part of that, we've had a long-standing review, and it's part of my personal passion and one of my set objectives from when I became a portfolio member to raise this with parking services who do the administrative work. We have successfully prosecuted 110 abusers of blue badges in the last 12 months. Taking them to court, had fines issued. We have an active policy of prosecution. That wasn't good enough. We needed to make it easier and simpler for blue badge holders. So we've got 4 changes. First one, if you've got a CPZ permit and you're the registered holder, you will be able to have your blue badge, your CPZ permit, not just for 1 year, but for the duration of the blue badge. Common sense, why keep on renewing it every year when your blue badge is for 3 years? We will also look at disabled parking bays where you have to display a blue badge to be able to park there. However, if it's a residential parking bay outside your home, you can pay £35 each year for the pleasure of not displaying your blue badge. And we have a virtual permit for that. We will change that system so it coincides with the duration of your blue badge. And we won't charge you for that pleasure as well. So that's another administrative improvement. Finally, we have groundbreaking, innovative work with the Metropolitan Police in Ealing, which we have got groundbreaking work, which we think is probably the first in the country, or one of the most initial ones where police can directly monitor abuse of blue badges. We have trained our own civil enforcement officers and other officers of the council to look at enforcement as well. That's why we've got such a strong record on enforcement of the abuse of blue badges. So we are tackling the problem of abuse. We are also making it better, easier and fairer for blue badge holders. And finally, our fourth improvement, if you are diagnosed with a terminal illness, you will be able to apply for a blue badge without charge. I think this is good, solid measures that balance enforcement, fairness and equity and make sure we support our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary question? Just bear in mind, we've only got a few more minutes. We want to get to budgets at the top of the hour. Thank you.
Thank you. What other actions have been taken to promote easier and fairer travel for residents around the borough?
Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Councillor Hashini. We have a wide range of actions. We welcome this additional financial support from central government, which allows us to address the quality of roads. We have drive and repair crews being engaged to tackle potholes. Typically, we address 3,000 potholes a year. We expect to exceed that. So, because we've got not only responding to reports about potholes, we're going actively and proactively out to seek them and repair them. Thanks to the Labour government who added extra money and funding. We have also got schemes to improve public realms around schools. And if the school isn't lucky enough to have a school street scheme outside its area, we will actively look, and we've got the first pilots at Dormers Wells and North Acton primary schools, where we'll look at what can we do in the public realms, improving zebra crossings, improving the area around schools. So we've got an active role there. We have multiple schemes across the borough that are live and rolling ahead for cycling improvements and walking improvements. So we've got a long and proud tradition. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Driscoll. Thank you for your question, Councillor Backlini. Councillor Conser.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The portfolio holder, what is the council doing to support the improvement and accessibility of key community facilities such as leisure centres, libraries and community assets?
Councillor Hashani.
Thank you. Over the last year, new culture hubs in Acton, Northolt and Southall have shown how vibrant and inclusive public spaces can be by bringing libraries, arts and exhibitions and community events into one accessible location. Our leisure centres are also growing as welcoming spaces for all. More residents of every age are using them, including people with health conditions and disabled residents. Programming is shaped with local communities and free memberships for groups such as care experienced young people, carers and people living with Parkinson's help ensure that cost is never a barrier to taking part. We are expanding senior-friendly activities such as low-impact exercise, chair yoga and social coffee sessions, making it easier for older residents to stay active. Disability inclusive sessions, including wheelchair, sports, accessible swimming and adapted fitness classes are being co-designed to ensure that every resident feels supported and able to participate. We also recognise that buildings alone do not build community, but that people do. And that's why our community access guarantee across all council-owned sites is making local spaces more open, visible and easier to book. And now we've got our online directory, which now makes it much simpler than ever for residents to find and use rooms, halls and facilities. I'm also proud to say that we're going even further in this budget, which we'll hear a little bit more about, but we're investing 1.6 million to refurbish more playgrounds, new play zones across the borough, extending opening hours for play spaces, fully funded the restoration of South Ealing Cemetery chapels, bringing them back into community use as community spaces, and refurbishing public toilets at Walpole Park, Northala Fields and Brent Lodge Park, because we know how important those are to particularly our elderly residents. But I will stop there. Thank you very much.
That supplementary question, Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I ask the portfolio holder what progress has been made towards the administration's creation of a regional park for West London?
Thank you. Significant progress has been made towards delivering the administration's commitment to create a regional park for West London. I was pleased to be part of a fantastic event only yesterday at Osterley House that formally launched a new partnership with Hounslow Council, the Mayor of London, the National Trust, the Environment Agency, and the Canal and River Trust. At the event, partners signed a joint commitment to work together to create the regional park. This will be a once in a generation ambitious project for all of us. Importantly, this vision is also backed by substantial investment. So only in the last year, we've secured £2.5 million of funding. Only yesterday, the Mayor of London announced that he was committing £1.46 million over the next 2 years and is formally backing our plans for the regional park. In addition to the almost £1 million that we secured from the National Lottery Fund Nature Towns and Cities programme, which, by the way, we were only one of 2 projects in the entire London to secure money from that. It was a very, very competitive process. The emerging park will connect a corridor of green spaces and waterways from Horsenden Hill through Osterley to the River Thames in Brentford. And what began as an Ealing project, which we're very proud of, is now evolving into a much more ambitious London-wide project. Yes, so we're very determined. We're very inspired by the partnership that was launched yesterday, and we're very much looking forward to seeing how that grows in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just under the wire, members, thank you. We move on to item number 7, I believe. Yes, item number 7, 2026-2027 budgetary strategy. Councillor Donnelly, do you wish to move the budget strategy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd be delighted to. To the relief of my leader, I would be delighted to. I rise to propose the administration's new budget, the 5th that I've been honoured to move, and certainly the most enjoyable from the point of view of a finance portfolio holder. As always, I'd like to thank Emily Hill and the officers in her team for their excellent work in assimilating all the information in a new budget. It's an enormous undertaking to collate the vast amounts of data necessary from all over the council. They've once again done a tremendous job adapting quickly to changing regulations, supported by officers from right across the council, and I thank them all. This budget's set in the context of central Labour government committed to rebuilding the relationship with local government, as shown by the spending review and funding reform. I'm very happy to say that we have, as promised, a 3-year financial settlement, a genuine medium-term financial strategy. I've spent 5 years complaining about the fact that it was a contradiction in terms with single-year settlements. And it's a very welcome move away from those recent yearly scrambles. Fair funding addresses historic imbalances in government funding distribution, prioritising areas of higher deprivation and recognising that our boroughs' needs have grown. Thanks to the Fair Funding Review, we'll be receiving additional resources over the next 3 years, allowing us both to manage the ongoing pressures from our demand-led services, like adult social care, children's services and temporary accommodation, and at the same time to take action to invest in the traditional universal services of the council, services which really felt the brunt of austerity right across the country. The 3-year medium-term settlement allows us to look ahead and plan how we spend increased funding effectively and strategically. Indeed, I'm delighted to say it's the first time in 16 years where we've been able to set a balanced budget without cuts to frontline services, while also meeting the needs of those highly pressured demand-led services that serve so many of our most vulnerable residents. Thanks to Ealing Labour's careful stewardship of our resources, we are not in the position of so many other councils, struggling to balance their books or obliged to seek exceptional financial support. Despite the many financial pressures we face, members this evening are being asked to endorse a positive, responsible and balanced budget. A budget that's rooted in our values, promotes our priorities and those of our residents. It will deliver improved services and will support the most vulnerable in our community. And I'm glad to say we now have a government that has a long-term plan to fix the foundations of our economy. As we emerge from an era of austerity and uncertainty, this Labour Council is well placed to take advantage of the new opportunities. And this budget secures our financial resilience, putting us in the best position to meet the challenges of the next 3 years and beyond. Ealing Labour has delivered, and this budget shows how Ealing Labour will continue to deliver as we listen to our residents and respond to their concerns. A budget that cracks down on crime and antisocial behaviour and its root causes by investing in street lighting, CCTV, and a unified and uniformed street enforcement team. A budget that ensures cleaner streets by investing in tidy teams to carry out targeted cleaning at hotspot sites out of hours and weekends, as well as reducing prices for garden waste collection and bulky waste collection to make it cheaper and easier for residents to access so they can get rid of their waste appropriately. And as Councillor Driscoll revealed earlier, the so-called mega skips will trundle into view across the borough. A budget that provides more activities for young people by investing in playgrounds, play zones, and more leisure facilities. And in addition to this, we're investing in early help provision, public spaces and infrastructure, regeneration, public arts, culture hubs, and so much more. We're committed to invest in the things that residents tell us they need. And with this budget, we're working to make Ealing safe, clean, prosperous, and somewhere our residents can continue to take pride in. Under this budget, our council tax will remain one of the lowest in the country, with residents paying £175 less than if council tax had simply risen in line with inflation since 2010. But we know that the cost of living remains a challenge for many residents, so this budget also enhances the support we give to those who are struggling the most. In addition to our best-in-class council tax support scheme, we've almost doubled the budget for the discretionary council tax reduction fund to support those residents in greatest need. Mr. Mayor, I know there were cynics, some perhaps in this room, who doubted that Labour in government could deliver 3-year financial settlements, that Labour in government could both increase investment in local government and realign that expenditure to where the need is greatest. It has done both those things and much more. Over a decade and a half of Tory austerity, Ealing Labour has delivered for Ealing residents. It's already clear how much more we can and will achieve working with Labour in government. Ealing Labour delivers today and tomorrow. This budget sets out the first steps on a new and positive journey, and I am proud to move it.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly. Got a lot to get through, so not too many applauses continuous. Councillor Mason, do you care to second?
I do care to second, Mr. Mayor, and I reserve my right to speak later in the debate.
Okay, Councillor Busuttil, do you care to move an amendment?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is a pleasure once again to present the Liberal Democrat amendment to the Budget Council. We think it will enhance the budget that we are debating this evening. I'm sure they'll be fairly considered by all councillors ahead of votes later this evening and know how much you all value hearing from opposition voices. In spite of the fact that there's an election in the very near future, this is an opportunity to work in a consensual way to deliver what local people want if councillors from all political stripes are truly willing to consider different credible offers on the table. The best way to make the budget package better is through considered amendments, which is what the Liberal Democrat Group have produced. I would like to thank Emily, Andre, all of their team and various other officers for the time they have given to work with the Liberal Democrat group to ensure the amendment is balanced and realistic. Though Labour's budget this evening isn't quite all it seems, they state it's a no cuts to frontline services budget, but cuts still lurk in the background. Cuts to children's centres still remain, closure of daycare centres remain, and now we heard this evening from Councillor Oxley, the log cabin in Northfield was to have its funding cut by the council. The Chancellor today reiterated that she has allocated £4 billion fund to address SEND issues over a 3-year period in her spring statement. So thankfully, the decision to cut funding to the log cabin has been withdrawn. But they've been completely omitted from their press releases about the budget. You see, Mr. Mayor, the problem here is not about money. It's about political will to admit, in some cases, they're wrong. The budget today comes on the same day the Chancellor has announced a spring statement in which she disclosed that the UK growth forecast is 1.1% and is falling, and unemployment is rising since Labour came the new government. It's the highest for 5 years and is expected to peak at 5.3% later this year. We recognise hard decisions need to be made. We believe that as a service-based organisation, Ealing Council must make every effort to ensure the priorities of our residents are at the forefront of what we do. We believe that if residents are being asked to pay yet again more than they have ever have in council tax, the concerns they have about our borough and the improvements they want to see must be fulfilled. Liberal Democrats are proposing a package of reasonable, costed, practical measures to enhance the 26-27 budget. And it seems, Mr. Mayor, that our amendments do work. For 3 consecutive years, we have found the money to fund better street cleaning, but because our streets have been neglected for so long by this administration, they have now U-turned and allocated more money to environmental services to address this. So our amendment seeks to ensure our streets are lifted out of the spiral of decay imposed by them by poor decision making by Ealing Labour, by funding street cleaning appropriately and tackling fly tipping, especially in the worst hotspots. For 2 years on the trot, our amendment has been costed to keep all children's centres open, giving the youngest in our borough the best possible start and support in their early years. Given that 8 million is to be allocated on early years, people question what the closure of children's centres are for. But now there's a local election on the horizon. Suddenly there's a release of money to spend on frontline services, but most residents can see through this, and it's too little, too late. Residents have had enough. So when residents say Labour is not listening, I can go back to them and say they're listening, but only to the Lib Dems. Our proposals represent a positive contribution to council budget and one that reflects the wishes of local residents. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Boustel. Councillor Malcolm, do you wish to care to second the amendment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the amendment. Firstly, I'd like to thank Emily Hill and her team for producing a lot of work for the main budget and also helping the Liberal Democrat group with some of the costings for our alternative budget, which you've heard about and seen. Before I talk about the amendment, I'd like to add a comment about the marketing which Labour promoted ahead of the budget proposals, stating no frontline services were to be cut, and even the portfolio holder said so today. But aren't children's centres frontline services? Yes. So therefore, that cannot really be true. You're either stretching the truth. They also say intimidation is the serious form of flattery. This happened when you found extra money recently in the budget and quickly bundled together a list of items to sweeten the 5% tax increase that people are already paying. People, as Councillor Basuto said, are paying more than ever over the past 5 or 10 years, and any increase in council tax is going to be difficult. Councillors Isamos and Hirsch have referred to the high price of the bulk waste and garden waste collection charges many times over the past couple of years. The need to reduce them, which you've now done, because they were increasing fly tipping. So you took the Lib Dem policies as your own in your budget, but for the past 4 years, Ealing Labour has said the streets are clean, but at least now, belatedly, you're admitting the streets are dirty. So thank you for coming clean on that. So looking at the council's abysmal performance in many areas, many people I've spoken to and the group I've spoken to around Ealing have said, what is the point of Labour? They're not listening to us, betraying many people's principles by wanting to shut 10 children's centres, the adult day centres, and an extremely poor record for tenants on housing repairs, many of which are very urgent. Not only are the streets absolutely dirty, over the past month, I've been inundated with casework, not just from my ward, but from your wards. That is a systemic problem from Northfields, from Walpole, Hanwell Broadway, Southall Broadway, stick out like a sore thumb. But if I'm doing your casework for you, why is that? Well, that is because those residents don't trust you running the council. In this budget debate, we have a chance to make things right by accepting Councillor Basuttil's amendment. We can save all the children's centres. We can put even more money to cleaner streets and reduce fly tips. We can cancel the Stop and Shop Plus, which will help some of our struggling high streets. When Lib Dem party leader Sir Ed Davey was speaking to residents in Walpole this weekend, many voters said they were fed up, first of all, with Labour, and then also fed up with the Conservatives. So they're looking for alternatives. That what they want is a change. So if Labour are not listening, then it's time for a management change to vote out Labour and vote in Liberal Democrats this May.
Thank you, Councillor Malcolm. Councillor Mason, do you wish to respond to the amendment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I wish to respond both to the amendment, but also to second our own motion. Look, this is the first budget that the Ealing Labour administration has been able to put forward in 16 years that is net positive to the investments that we are making in our community because of one thing and one thing alone: a Labour government. Because a few short years ago, when Rishi Sunak stood in his constituency CLP garden and told the party faithful assembled that he was deliberately removing money from councils that needed it most to invest in councils that needed it least, he was only echoing the politics of the coalition government, which of course the Liberal Democrats were so party to, that saw the beginning of the austerity that has damaged us for so very long. So I won't admit anything other than it was under the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives that slashed and burned our public services in this country, and it is under a Labour government and a Labour administration that is restoring them. And I think Councillor Malcolm really meant to say imitation is the finest form of flattery rather than intimidation. But of course, we will neither be intimidated nor will be imitating the London Borough of Kingston, Liberal Democrat, the London Borough of Croydon, Conservative, the London Borough of Harrow, Conservative, and of course the London Borough of Richmond, Liberal Democrat. What of course do all four of those councils have in common? The highest council tax in London and amongst the highest council tax in the country. That is the difference between this Labour administration and the opposition. And we will come in all of the contributions I know that this side of the chamber are going to make in this debate today. We are going to demonstrate that our strong fiscal management of this council has prepared us for this moment to once again start reinvesting in our communities on the things that we know matter to residents most: tackling antisocial behaviour and crime, making sure that our streets are clean and ensuring that our young people have a future that they can believe in and a future that gives them opportunities in life. There is a clear distinction between what you will hear from us and the opposition. We have a vision, we have values, and we have a demonstration that we deliver, even in difficult times. I'm afraid all you will hear from the opposition today is anger and gripes and so much more. They will not set out an alternative positive vision for our borough because they do not have them. We won't be accepting the amendment, but because it is not considered. It will not invest double the amount of money that this budget will invest in children's centres. It will not do the things that are already contained within this council's budget. We will absolutely work with anybody who wishes to be considered and constructive, but I'm afraid, Mr. Mayor, I'm afraid, members, this amendment is not it. Ealing Labour delivers, and we are on your side.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Councillor Young, do you wish to respond to the? Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This year, Mr. Mayor, Ealing has been most fortunate in its share of the local government settlement. There had been a concern that the calculations which determine local government funding would transfer money from the south to the north, but the decision to take account of deprivation and to include housing costs in that index has worked very much in our favour. If you add on to the gain to Ealing from the business rates reset and the reintroduction of multi-year finance settlements, we can feel more financially secure than for some time. Core spending power for this authority has increased this year by some 10%, nearly double the national average. Last year, the increase was 6.1%. And in the last 2 years of the Conservative government, CSP increased by 9.9% and 7.5%. Slightly more than in the first 2 years of this Labour government, but not significantly different. This rate of increase reflects the increase in demand for statutory services, especially for the elderly and for children with special needs, which show no signs of abating. To give an idea of how our financial situation has improved in the long term, in last year's budget, we were projecting a budget requirement for 2028-29 of about £390 million, but having a £60 million shortfall in funding. In this year's budget, we are now predicting a budget for 28-29 spending about £485 million, but with no shortfall in funding. However, we should bear in mind that the situation could suddenly change for the worse should the government make a U-turn. Mr. Mayor, before turning to how we propose to use this financial freedom, I would like to express my appreciation of the work of Emily Hill and her finance team in bringing forward the budget. The budget is always the most important decision in any municipal year, and this year the task has been very much more complex, with many government grants being introduced or consolidated and each having its own spending controls. It is not unusual for governments to reorganise its local government grants, but this year has been exceptionally complex. There are several examples of this administration failing to manage our money wisely. First, it is notable that one of the largest growth items in this year's budget is £3.5 million of undelivered savings from last year. And then there is £183,000 to be spent on a new enforcement team for the borough. Now, Mr. Mayor, this is not a new idea, but previously the merging of enforcement teams has been a proposal to save money, not to spend it. In the past, the merger hasn't worked well, mainly because the operatives find it much easier to fill their quota by issuing parking tickets rather than by investigating fly tips. The result has been that fly tips go uninvestigated and more rubbish is dumped. And our record on fly tips is not good. The amount raised in fines has reduced by 20% over the last 2 years. I would hope that some of that may be reversed by the proposals to reduce the charges of garden waste collection and the deploying of extra mobile CCTV cameras, both of which we welcome, at the same time as we regret that it has taken so long for this administration to listen to what we've been saying. We also welcome the various measures to improve street cleanliness and recycling. Recycling rates do need to improve. We reached 50% recycling rates 16 years ago, and we are still at the same level today. A cynic seeing all these proposals might suggest that the only reason they are being made is because there is an election coming. This council is still spending £100,000 a year in keeping the town hall closed, nearly 4 million a year in keeping Percival House open, even though it is still mostly empty. It seems that managing its own estate, it is not one of this administration's strengths. And what do the Lib Dems propose? Well, like many Lib Dem proposals, their amendment probably made sense at the time, even if it doesn't now. They're proposing to cut a third of the printing budget. But what policy decision are they making to affect that saving? Are they going to reduce consultations? And agency staff can only be cut if you are prepared not to provide a service when there are staff vacancies. Apparently, adult services, public health, children's services, and housing and environment are to be excluded, which means that services such as planning and building control will virtually cease to operate. I think the Lib Dems are also assuming that agency staff are more expensive than local authority staff, which isn't necessarily the case when the costs of local authority pensions and employer contributions are taken into account. In short, the Lib Dem amendment doesn't make much sense, but then the Lib Dems often don't make much sense. Mr. Mayor, Ealing has been put in a very favourable situation, but this money could be managed more wisely. We should be voting against the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Councillor Brett, do you wish to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight we're here to inform you about our exciting new budget story. But first, let me tell you a tale about how it came to pass. Let's roll back maybe 16 years or so. Once upon a time, there were two parties that didn't have the best intentions when it came to treating our residents with dignity and respect. In fact, they actively colluded to make decisions that deliberately affected our residents for the worst. Those decisions were called austerity. And those two parties involved were, of course, you guessed it, the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats. They were the ones responsible for eroding our services. Now, with rising demand in adult social care, children's services and temporary accommodation, you'd think they may change their woeful ways, but alas, they only wanted to do more of the same. With this and the impact of inflation and funding cuts, this of course caused long-term pain for our wonderful borough of Ealing. Now, at this point of the story, you might be fearing the worst, and you might be right. However, those in charge in Ealing had other ideas. Of course, we dealt with real-time budget cuts, the effect of inflation and rising demands, whilst protecting our vital services that Ealing residents so desperately relied on. It felt like a never-ending battle, but it was one we were willing to fight. But ladies and gentlemen, that battle is the one we fought. We have continued to balance our budget, even adding some money into reserves, which is one of the very few London councils that was able to do so. We have made prudent financial decisions and shown real leadership whilst achieving so much in those long, long years. But wait for it, plot twist. Then one fine day, those two parties were no longer in charge. A new dawn had come. And that was a new party making the right decisions, putting people at the heart of this country at their decisions. And that, of course, was a Labour government. By introducing a fair funding deal for the next 3 years, it will enable those in charge, us in charge in this borough, to do the following things: deliver good, sustainable growth, strengthen pride in our borough, secure safe and genuinely affordable homes, ensure every child has the best start in life, enable every person to live a healthy and happy life, to take decisive action against the climate emergency, bring good and well-paid jobs to the borough, and make our economy inclusive and bring down the cost of living. This budget is not one of fairy tales. It's one of a strong financial plan. It's a statement about the kind of borough we want to build, one where our residents are put first. That is because Ealing Labour delivers and Ealing Labour is on your side. Thank you.
Councillor Oxley, wish to respond?
Mr. Mayor, this budget should have been an opportunity for the current administration to reverse the cuts to Ealing's wonderful children's centres, but they flunked it. Instead, they were in the Royal Court of Justice last week, wasting taxpayer money on expensive barristers defending the indispensable. The Liberal Democrat amendment will ensure there is funding to keep all our centres open. In December, the leader of the council helpfully gave an interview setting out his reasons for the cuts. He claims that children's centres are, quote, intimidating environments and that residents are, quote, fearful of authorities. Well, we have good reason to be fearful of this Labour-run council. I wonder whether the leader of the council has ever visited a children's centre. If he had,
Mr. Mayor, a point of personal explanation,
Well-
point 1414.
Okay. So, well, one moment, Mr. Jonathan, Councillor Oxley, would you like to withdraw that? So we can. Okay, fine. Okay, Councillor Mason.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have indeed visited many a children's centre, both as the leader of the council and as a young person on a council estate in Leicester, where a children's centre was instrumental both in the future of my family and so many, and that is why we have doubled the budget for early help in this budget.
Thank you, Councillor Oxley. One moment, Councillor Oxley, continue, sir. Thank you, Councillor Mahfouz.
If he had, and I'm pleased to hear that he has, he would surely know that they are safe and welcoming places and hugely valued by the community. He says, oh, they're being cut. He says that outreach services would be better. But this is absurd, when at the same time as he shuts children's centres, the Labour government is planning to open new ones. Bridget Phillipson says she wants, quote, to give children the best start in life by establishing family hubs that will act as one-stop shops. I didn't think I'd hear myself saying this, but Bridget Phillipson is right and this administration is wrong, Ray. But of course, the leader of the council has another explanation for the closures. He has another explanation for the closures. You've guessed it. It's the fault of the coalition government 16 years ago and the Tory governments that came after it. But Ealing's children's centres operated throughout the coalition years. They even survived the Tories. I'm afraid the sad truth is that Ealing's children's centres are being closed by a Labour-run council in a Labour-run city under a Labour-run government in Westminster. Every tier of government is run by Labour. Stop blaming everybody else and start taking responsibility for your own decisions. Councillor Bull was at the Royal Court of Justice to witness JO versus the London Borough of Ealing. For those of you who don't know, the claimant is a 2-year-old child who lives in Ealing. JO and her parents have relied on the centre since JO was 9 weeks old. They brought the claim because they worried that the closures will restrict services and opportunities for their children. I sincerely hope their claim is successful. Please do the right thing by this 2-year-old girl and vote for the Liberal Democrat amendment and save her children's centre. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Oxley. Councillor Newsted.
Oh, I've so carried over that nonsense, I didn't realise it was my turn to speak. I am super proud to be part of an administration with a clear, unapologetic vision for improving the lives of every single resident in Ealing. We understand the pressures our communities have been forced to endure and refuse to look the other way, because these pressures did not come out of thin air. They were the direct result of 14 years of underfunding, of austerity, of a cruel and deliberate political choice to strip away the support that those with the least rely on most. And our borough is still living with the consequences of those decisions. As Cabinet Lead for Adult Social Care, I see every day what it takes to provide decent, dignified, humane support for people who need us. And those costs continue to rise. And there is a straight, undeniable line between austerity and the shocking news this week that for the very first time since record began, healthy life expectancy in this country is falling. And who is it on again to reverse that trend and fix this awful situation? Let us not forget that all this happened under a Tory government with the help of their Liberal Democrat thumbs. That is their legacy. And when we came to power in 22, we knew the scale of the task and we knew we could not simply undo those cuts overnight. There is no quick fix. But we also knew that we would not flinch from the responsibilities placed upon us. And Mr. Mayor, we have done what other councils have not. We have not sought emergency funding. We have balance our budget. We have invested in our services and we have supported those with least. And now, thanks to the fair funding formula and this Labour government, we are finally able to invest more in the things that residents are crying out for. Mr. Mayor, this budget draws a line under austerity in Ealing, and we will invest in our safer towns, action on illegal HMOs and keeping our streets clean and our residents healthy, and so much more. But Mr. Mayor, it would be remiss of me not to turn to the opposition, because if there's one thing we can always rely on, it is their remarkable ability to offer so little to so many. Why we put forward a clear, ambitious, grown-up vision for Ealing that absolutely, and it's the absolute failure of the opposition to understand what it is the council actually does day in, day out, looking after adults with learning disabilities, dealing with homelessness and looking after our most vulnerable children. We have values and we have mission and we have a clear vision. Fair growth, pride in our towns, secure homes, supporting children.
You lost your mic there, Councillor Newstub.
A few extra bins, tinkering at the edges while leaving the hard work to us. A masterclass in doing the bare minimum and still managing to disappoint. Well, that might be enough for the residents of Southfields, but
Councillor Blacker, you wish to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For 16 years, the residents we serve have suffered because the Lib Dems and the Tories sold the country a lie. That if we had just helped young people a little less, if we cut child trust funds, if we scrapped education maintenance allowance, if we stopped replacing dilapidated old schools, we might have averted a global financial crisis that was the fault of the people of this country who most needed our help. I joined the Labour Party to fight austerity. Tonight, for me, that fight is over. We are starting to unpick the damage the Tories and the Lib Dems have inflicted on Ealing. More investment in parenting support, more investment in outreach work, more of the work that we know is effective at preventing problems develop, preventing escalation, and ensuring, Councillor Oxley, the best start in life for all of Ealing's families. My colleagues have said more about the budget and other colleagues will say even more. Let me just warn you off the Lib Dem amendment. I needn't remind you, their proposal is to reverse an enhanced early help offer, delivering more activity in every single one of Ealing's 7 towns. Reinvigorated, vibrant hubs, delivering an integrated offer in, yes, fewer of our own buildings, but with more activity in the community to meet those who need us where they are. The Lib Dem amendment would be giving up on the migrant and the marginalised communities who told us themselves that they want to meet us, they didn't want to come to us, but us to them. They have never explained how to reach those in the statutory services whose problems we could have prevented by meeting them earlier, because they don't care about the marginalised communities of this borough. This is my last full council, so serving the residents of South Acton has truly been a privilege, and I thank them from the very bottom of my heart for putting me here, not just once or twice, but 3 elections in a row. I am sure they will be in capable hands in years to come, and I thank Yvonne, Katie and